Bring in the man responsible for sponsoring this amendment, Congressman Alan Grayson, a Democrat from Florida. How do you think this will be received, Congressman?
It's already been received incredibly well. We have 75 co-sponsors in 4 days. Can you remember that ever happening before? We have 25,000 signatures at our website, wewantmedicare.com, and more every minute. It's exciting.
How do you interpret the polls?
What do you mean specifically?
The polls that speak to the level of dissatisfaction with Congress and basically the even split across the board when it comes to health care. Half the room seems to say they want this bill. Half the room tends to say that they do not. But nearly 80% say they don't like the way Congress does its job.
Well, I think half of the public understands they've got problems that Congress needs to help to solve, and half of the public is scared by Republican scare tactics.
And what about the disapproval of the process, not only with what we've seen in health care, but the absurdity of waiting a couple of years to get a watered-down financial regulations bill? The list goes on. To me, I look at the disapproval rating, and I honestly don't blame them.
The Republicans have very effectively used the Senate rules in order to create a stalemate. The reason why people are unhappy about it is that because they know that they have problems, and they know that these problems are too big for them to solve alone. So they expect that the Party of Hope and Change will help to do that. And that's why people are upset, because it hasn't happened entirely yet. Unemployment is high. People are unhappy. People are losing their homes. They want solutions to their problems. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that you don't solve your problems by ignoring them, and no is not a policy. So I think in the end, when we make more progress in solving people's problems, they'll be happy.
You point to the Republicans and their fear-mongering, which is pervasive and very effective for them. At the same time, the Democrats have had the opportunity for a very simple movement, and yet within the Democratic Party, they don't seem to be able to come to a real agreement on things like bank reform or health care, and things that so many people would say they would like to see, like transparency and capital requirements in banking, or the public option as you have presented it here in health care. The Democrats don't seem to be able to get into any of the legislation. Why is that?
Well, I think that the lobbyists have done a very effective job through the kind of ads that you just described against Mollahan to try to instill the same sort of fear in congressmen that they've been instilling around the country on people who are simply gullible and are willing to believe the worst. So that has stalled the system, along with the fact that the Republicans have exploited every conceivable rule. They've had more filibusters in the past year and a half than we had in 50 years after World War I. 50 years.
Let's talk about fundraising for a second. There's been some criticism from all quarters, not only just about obviously the money and its role in our government, but specifically the obligations on freshmen like yourself to spend a huge percentage of their time raising money. This is the top 15 members of the Democratic freshman class raised $5.3 million in the first quarter of 2009. Is it a fair criticism that the Congress is run like a fraternity where the freshmen raise the money and the seniors run the show?
Well, look, the people in vulnerable districts know who they are, but I think that we're creating a new model. We did a successful money bomb in November that raised $514,000 in one day. We're doing it again at our website, congressmanwithguts.com, this month on the 27th. That's a new way to raise money. It doesn't involve kissing lobbyists' rear ends. What it involves is appealing to people with a conscience and getting an average contribution of $40. We've had over 20,000 people contribute to our campaign. You're going to see the same thing happen again. That's people power, and that's the answer to our problem.
And I totally respect that and can see how effective that is, Congressman. And you have been incredible and unique in your ability to spend more of your time legislating because of this money bomb technique that you've been using with these sort of momentary and high-impact solicitations on a broad basis using technology. Obviously been very effective. However, it is not how the vast majority of freshman politicians in this country raise their money. You and I both know. I can look at a bunch of politicians who simply see checks coming in from lobbyists out of Washington, D.C., even if they are a congressman or a woman from Kansas. Do you believe your model can be adopted by others, and is there anything that the electorate can do to help accelerate the transition from legislators spending all their time on the phone raising money?
Well, look, we have to decide who owns Washington. Is it the people or the lobbyists? And when we do a money bomb at a site like congressmanwithguts.com and it succeeds, we establish a new model that other people can follow. Yep. I'm excited by it.
Yeah, Congressman Grayson, your final thoughts for those who look at this bill as not going far enough, for people that are upset it doesn't have the public option, that are upset that it doesn't break up the insurance monopoly, that it doesn't create choice, all the things that it does not do?
Well, first, we have to get more support. Call your congressman. Get more support for our bill, H.R. 4789, the Public Option Act, a 3.5-page bill that opens up Medicare at cost. If you want it and you pay for it, you got it. We need more support for that. But I'll tell you, the health bill in general is really the triumph of hope over fear. When it passes, that's what it is, the triumph of hope over fear.
Listen, Congressman, a pleasure. Thanks for some time this afternoon. I do appreciate it. Alan Grayson, out of Florida, coming up here on the Dylan Ratigan Show.